Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 26 Psychokinesis. Supreme Mage, Asgardian of Earth. Just hearing the name, Tony couldn't help but get excited. The thoughts in my heart are just around the corner. The desire for magic has once again risen to a higher level. Totally can't wait. Supreme Mage, I want to learn magic. Tony shouted excitedly. Words, full of eagerness. Eyes full of expectation also looked over. Hope to get the answer I want. Still, in Russell's ear. But there is a strong sense of sight. Coach, I want to play basketball. There was a sudden urge to laugh in my heart. But on the surface, he didn't show any emotion. Want to learn magic? It's easy. First of all, you have to be prepared to be tempered. Magic is not as simple as you think. Also, add enough sincerity. Russell said meaningfully, as if he meant something. Training. This is not a problem for me at all. Tony patted his chest, confidently assured. Immediately, and then couldn't help looking over with some doubts. The sincerity you said is. Russell gave him a meaningful look, narrowed his eyes and smiled. Didn't you just say, repair the entire magic holy place? Ha, Tony was dumbfounded for a moment. This has all been heard. I was just kidding, but you actually took it seriously. From the look of Russell, it doesn't look like he's joking. Tony felt like crying for a moment. Supreme Mage, do you think such a large project is appropriate? At that time, I'm afraid it will waste a lot of time. It's not a question of money at all. Tony Stark, the last thing he needs is banknotes. Quite the contrary, what worries him most? This repair work will inevitably affect his progress in learning magic. At that time, if it takes a few months, this is nothing short of a disaster. I shouldn't have said that. Tony regretted it. Hearing this, Russell froze for a moment. Immediately afterwards, he smiled mysteriously. You don't need to worry about this problem. What you should do now is to prepare suitable materials for me. All the rest, just watch. Good. Tony nodded reluctantly agreeing. He didn't know what the Supreme Mage in front of him wanted to do. But look at his confident look. There should be a certain degree of certainty. Ever since, he ordered it immediately. JARVIS, help me arrange this. Let the company prepare building materials, retro style, just follow this style. Also, don't forget, you must use the best one. This resolute approach finally looks a bit like the chairman of Stark Industries. Russell couldn't help but nodded in satisfaction. Though the mages don't care too much about the enjoyment. But who would say no to a better living environment? Many places are dilapidated, and the roads are potholes. Moreover, there is one thing to say. The accommodation conditions in Kamartaj are really outrageous. Some mages still live in adobe houses, can you believe it? Taking advantage of this opportunity, I can just improve it. It just so happened that there was Tony Stark who was taken advantage of. Soon, under Tony's orders, Stark Industries moved swiftly and violently. The portal appears with gold. Under Tony's astonished eyes, pieces of material flew in directly. Moreover, the speed is extremely fast, and the transportation has been completed in a short time. Damn it, is this magic too? Tony asked with wide-eyed eyes. Beside, Modu's expression looked a little weird. Because of Russell's big move, the entire Kamartaj Mage couldn't help but ran out to watch the excitement. And he happened to be approached by Tony. In a sense, it can't be considered magic. This is an extension of telepathy ability, an ability that even if you want to practice, there is nowhere to get started. It is more fancy, is ability. Spiritual psychokinesis. Hearing this, Tony felt a little ready to move. Just ignore what Modu said earlier. Ability. What I, Tony Stark, lack most is ability. You don't need to think about it, I'm also a genius in the field of magic. Tony said proudly. With such a self-satisfied look, if it were someone else, he would definitely not be able to resist the urge to hit someone. However, Modu knew it in his heart. He's telling the truth. Tony Stark, indeed a genius. And at this time, center of the square, Russell's figure suddenly moved. Fluttering, the body slowly rose up into the air. Then, he waved his hand. Suddenly, the earth trembled. Chapter 27, the whole earth let out a heavy wail. Everyone present was suddenly shocked. Boom. Booms sounded one after another. And with huge amounts of movement. Brand new palaces have sprung up one after another. Immediately afterwards, the pavement made of Qingxi board, training ground. One after another, it caused a sensation among the crowd. The exclamation continued, and Tony, who had just arrived, was even more stunned. Could it be that this is the power of magic? The power to control everything? Beside, after hearing this, Modu couldn't help shaking his head helplessly. You think too much. Common's mage doesn't have such an ability, and only Supreme Mage can do it. What I said was a little sad. However, in fact it is so. The ability to interfere with space is not something that every mage can possess. What's more, you need to have the mental power to move the entire area. The power of the Supreme Mage is not at the same level as ours. Even if we add up, we probably can't compare to him. Hearing this, Tony's eyes flickered. The expression on his face was not surprised but happy. It won't be long before I, Tony Stark, can do it too. This confident to some conceited words immediately attracted the questioning eyes of several mages nearby. However, Modu shook his head and couldn't help sighing inwardly. If it is him, there is really a possibility. The gap between common people and geniuses is really too big. Not long. The whole Kamar Taj has a new look. The refurbishment was successfully completed. Looking at the brand new magic holy place below, Russell was very satisfied. Such a vigorous appearance finally fits the appearance of young people more. He's not an ancient one like the ancient one. There was no nostalgia in mind either. Instead, he wouldn't mind making things a little more comfortable in Kamar Taj. After all, most of today's mage keep pace with the times and keep up with the trend of the times. Even things like Wi-Fi are used. I believe it is more acceptable. Definitely, the overall transformation is not much different from the original. Just renovated the whole magic holy place. There are just a few more palaces. The blue-gray stone pavement is still low-key, not luxurious at all. At this time, a group of mages kept cheering and ran over excitedly. All kinds of eulogizing and admiring voices make the ears feel calloused. And Tony also took the opportunity to come over. He smiled. Supreme Mage, when can I learn magic? Casting a glance at him, seeing the longing look on his face, Russell couldn't help but laugh. Then now, he turned his head and gave an order. Modu Mage, the task of guiding him into the gate of the magic world is entrusted to you. After all, in this regard, you are more experienced. ... Experienced ass. I see that you clearly want to embarrass me, Modu. Leading a genius mage, isn't this sincerely used to hit me? Don't you think you haven't hit me hard enough? Eyes are useless. Modu was confused, and his small eyes that doubted life didn't do anything. He hesitated to speak. However, he dared not speak. In the end, he cast a glance at the excited Tony beside him, which could only be turned into a helpless sigh. Okay, Supreme Mage. If one didn't know the sad and indignant expression on his face, one would probably think that he was going to do something. Turning his head, he patted Tony on the shoulder, and Modu sighed. Follow me. From now on, the door to the magical world will be open for you. And now, you need to start with the first step. Tony quickly followed the steps, and asked curiously. The first step you said was exercise, Modu said while walking. If you want to be a mage, you must first have a strong body. Otherwise, the powerful magical energy will not only fail to help, but will erode your body instead. Definitely, this is also to prepare for future fighting training. When you become a qualified mage, you must also learn how to fight. ... I understand the truth, but why is Mage doing combat training? Aren't all mages like the Supreme Mage, who can change the world with a wave of his hand? Modu. Young man, it seems that you have misunderstood the profession of mage. Come, follow me to the third set of radio gymnastics to exercise your body. Chapter 28, In the chat group. It hasn't bubbled for days. As a group leader, Russell felt that it was necessary to come out and mobilize everyone's enthusiasm. Supreme Mage Russell. At Marvelms.Carol, where are you? At Accuser Ronan, when are you going to fight? In a sea of stars. Inside the spaceship, Ronan was frowning, looking at the star field not far away. He was a little muttering. What the hell, why hasn't that Thanos guy shown up yet? According to the normal situation. With supreme wisdom at his back, even this frightening overlord would not dare to neglect easily. Surely someone will be sent out to meet him. What's more, there is a cooperative relationship between them. However, the current situation seems to be an accident. The spaceships had all arrived at the gate of his territory, but there was no sign of anyone coming out to greet him. Ronan couldn't help feeling an ominous premonition. And at this moment, in my mind, a voice suddenly sounded. When I opened the chat group, my face turned dark. I couldn't help scolding my mother in my heart. Those who ride horses really don't open any pots and carry them. It's not too big of a deal to watch all the fun, so you have to hold on to this matter. Originally, seeing that Carol hadn't bubbled up in the chat group for several days, the tension in Ronan's heart has been relieved a lot. At one point, she even thought that she had given up. However, Russell's reminder immediately made his heart tense, and he felt extremely painful. Looking at the name in the chat group, he was even more angry. If Carol really calls here, there is definitely this guy's part in it. Supreme Mage Russell, I remember you. Ronan gritted his teeth. And immediately, the screen flashed, and there was a new movement in the chat group. Ms. Marvel Carol, there's still a long way to go. Just a few more days. At accuser Ronan, wait for me. In very few short words. A domineering aura that belongs only to the strong is unconsciously revealed. Seeing this, Ronan's face suddenly changed. At the same time, I also thought of her amazing fighting power. Weighed the level of his own fleet. I'm afraid, it's not enough for others to fight with one hand. Ever since, I can't control so much for a while. If you don't ask for help, everyone will die, so what dignity do you need? Accuser Ronan. At Thanos the Destroyer of Thousand Stars, I'm on the outskirts of your territory, send someone out to pick me up. After finishing speaking in a hurry, Ronan was relieved and relaxed a little. He should know what I mean, right? There's no room for him to sit idly by when a battle breaks out in his territory. This is an above-board conspiracy that cannot be rejected at all. The two parties originally had a cooperative relationship, coupled with the deterrence of supreme wisdom behind it. Even if he knew that this was a misfortune, he could only smash his teeth and swallow it in his stomach. However, the development of things is often unexpected. Thanos the Destroyer of Thousand Stars, thank you for the invitation, I am in Sokka, meeting the Grand Master, don't forget. Immediately afterwards, another picture was sent on it. Click to open it. It's the photo of Thanos and the Master of Sakaar, the Grand Master. A smile full of shining white teeth is fine. Even, Thanos made a scissors hand gesture. Ridicule. This horse riding is definitely mocking. Ronan's lungs were about to explode. The expression on his face was even more ugly. It's fine if you don't want to help, but you still dare to mock me. This is definitely a provocation to our Kree Empire. After you go back, you must report to the Supreme Wisdom. Seriously participate in this book. It never occurred to him. As the overlord of one party, Thanos will have a day of confession. Definitely, probably more reasons. It's because I don't want to get involved in their affairs. However, no matter what the reason is, for him, time is ticking. The most urgent thing now. Still have to figure out how to avoid Carol's pursuit. How to get out of this big trouble. The other side. Kamar Taj, inside the magic holy place. Silently diving, Russell, who watched the whole process, couldn't help laughing. This Thanos, it's interesting. Definitely, when he doesn't snap his fingers. Even compared to normal intelligent creatures, he is a better communication partner. Think about it too. It can be seen from this incident. A strong man whose physique, ability, and wisdom far exceed normal biological standards. How could it be so easy to be used by others? Likewise, indirectly. This purple sweet potato essence has an online IQ. Even if he has great love in his heart, he is not stupid enough to be used as a gun. At this moment, Dormammu, who had been diving for a long time, also jumped out. Dormammu, Lord of the Dark Dimension, you despicable mage. I'm about to make you feel worse than death. Chapter 29, Is life better than death? Seeing this, Russell immediately smiled. Supreme Mage Russell, who gave you the courage to say such a thing? Could it be you? At Heliordme Faithto, Faith, who is also a Dimension Lord, does have the possibility of uniting with Dormammu. Turning his head, however, Russell turned the fire on Dormammu. Don't you know that part of your will is in my hands? Do you need me to put him back, so that you can taste what it means to live a life worse than death? In the dark dimension, Dormammu flew into a rage. The expression on the horrible man's face became more and more ferocious. Dormammu, Lord of the Dark Dimension, you're provoking a dimensional lord, Mage. How many years, since becoming the master of the Dark Dimension, no one has dared to speak to him like this. It seemed that all the words that could arouse his emotional changes came from one person. Damn Supreme Mage, Dormammu gritted his teeth in hatred. Forget about Ancient One. After all, her strength has been recognized by him in the years of confrontation. However, what he never expected was that this newly appointed Supreme Mage dares to be so arrogant. Dormammu, Lord of the Dark Dimension, not even the Ancient One dares to talk to me like that. There's a way to get out of the earth and fight above board, vile mage. Seeing this, Russell raised his eyebrows. What this means is, shall we touch each other? The above board kind. Thinking of this, I couldn't help but burst out laughing. What era is it, and you still pay attention to head-to-head, open and above-board battles? This is not a night duel, why do we need to care so much? Mean, no, this is called strategy. Only those who have no brains will choose head-to-head. Definitely, except in the case of force crushing. And at the same time, somewhere on Earth, the old man in a suit and leather shoes, with his hair combed straight, was walking slowly while leaning on a civilized stick. The leisurely pace in his old face couldn't be more suitable. Definitely, if anyone is deceived by his appearance, I believe he will not be stingy about sending him to hell. This is Moto Faith. To be precise, it should be his body on Earth. Disguised with a benign smile on his face, he hunts his prey all over the world. Treat the whole Earth as his back garden. Suddenly, was walking. The smile on his face stagnated, and his expression suddenly turned into astonishment. How can it be so good that it involves me? What is it called? Burn yourself. Innocent, lie down. Mo Faith said he was innocent. What Dormammu wants to do, he has no idea. Faith, Lord of Hell, don't wrong a good man, I'm a law-abiding citizen. At Dazoon Mage Russell. Seeing this, Russell curled his lips and smiled disdainfully. Supreme Mage Russell, good citizen. Law-abiding, a demon who likes to play with human souls. Faith, Lord of Hell, you can call me evil, but you must never question the spirit of a fiend's covenant. I didn't break the contract. This is true. Russell couldn't refute anything either. According to the contract signed between Ancient One, Odin and Murdo Faith, this Hell Lord has the legal right to operate anywhere on Earth. Unlike Dormammu, he has more communication possibilities. Moreover, the devil's spirit of contract is just as he said. No doubt, for hundreds of years, there has never been any major disturbance on the Earth. Definitely, more may also be the careful research of Ancient One and Odin. At the same time, he kept his eyes open and did not give the Hell Lord a chance to take advantage of the contract. Like patterns on parchment or something. However, thinking of this, Russell suddenly thought of one thing. Supreme Mage Russell. Ancient One Mage abdicates, and the original contract is void. We need to sign a new contract. Faith, Lord of Hell. I don't have time recently, I'll talk about it when I have time. Supreme Mage Russell. What if something unexpected happens? Faith, Lord of Hell, don't worry, you have to trust me. After all, haven't there been any accidents for hundreds of years? Russell, how do you feel that this is a bit like a flag? Chapter 30, Kamar Taj, inside the holy place. Thanks to the generosity of Tony, who owns money ability. Everything inside has been updated. Everything is new and luxurious. Definitely, luxury or not, it doesn't matter to Russell. The stench of capital could not corrode his heart in the slightest. Most importantly, comfortable, sitting cross-legged on the seat, Russell raised his glass and took a sip of the tea. It's time to start researching new magic again. In the past, when he was common mage, he had a lot of time to study new magic. Only by dedicating yourself wholeheartedly can you extend so many magic skills. But now, sitting on the position of Supreme Mage, I feel a little slack. Picking up the book of Emperor Wysandi on the table, Russell couldn't help feeling a little bit emotional. As expected of an artifact that claims to record all white magic, the magic reserves are astonishing. He has already read all of this book. Most of the magic can also be used easily. The huge magic power is like a hand, which is the benefit of using one's own magic power. Coupled with itself, as the magic power grows, the spiritual power will also grow stronger under its nourishment. Most spells can be learned just by looking at them. Even what is recorded in the Book of Emperor Weixin is no exception. However, thinking of this, Russell couldn't help feeling a little depressed. The magic in Emperor Weixin's book is really scary. However, there is only white magic. What is white magic? A collective term for auxiliary spells and defensive magic. In other words, there is nothing offensive about it. Definitely, it's not that there isn't one. It's just that it's so pitiful. I believe that if it weren't for Russell to further develop the mirror space magic ability to affect display has been extended. Even if he is the supreme mage, he can't avoid jumping forward and fighting the enemy hand to hand. Kamar Taj is good for everything but not much offensive magic. In the library, there is no magic that can directly threaten the enemy. Not to mention any destructive power. Even if it is left in the hands of Ancient One, the relics of the mages of the past. In private, it was recorded in the research notes left behind secretly. However, there are only a few. In order not to embark on the path of hand-to-hand mage. So, Russell decided to do his own research. Immediately, he cast his gaze down. Seal Dormammu's container teapot body. In terms of destructive power, I'm afraid there aren't many more research-worthy powers than the Dark Dimension, right? Inside the teapot, noticing Russell's friendly smile, Dormammu couldn't help but tremble in his heart. If you have something to say, don't come here. Another Dormammu yelled at me again. Russell said truthfully with a smile on his face. Although, again for the same reason. But who told Dormammu to speak provocatively first? Damn Dormammu, what the hell are you doing to me? Dormammu burst into tears and couldn't help but shouted to the sky. Inside the teapot, a tragic and miserable voice echoed. Good guy, he even scolded himself. However, while Dormammu was scolding his mother in his heart. As soon as the topic changed, Russell continued. However, this time I don't intend to punish you. Hearing this, Dormammu breathed a sigh of relief. For a moment, the wailing stopped. It's just that it was very fast, seeing the movement of Russell's big hand covering it. His heart suddenly rose to his throat again. What do you want? What if you don't do it? Don't worry, I keep my word. Russell squinted and smiled. However, as one of the conditions for letting you go, I need you to cooperate with my research. Research? What research? Dormammu became increasingly vigilant. As a dimension Mephisto that watches over the earth at all times. He definitely understands the common sense of human society. This so-called research, could it be that he was going to be dissected like those evil experiments? This is too miserable. Thinking of this, Dormammu's heart trembled, and he was suddenly sad. However, Russell's eyes flashed, as if he had sensed his thoughts. Shaking his head, he denied. You think too much, I'm not doing some evil experiment. I need the power of the Dark Dimension, conduct research. Hearing this, the tension in Dormammu's heart suddenly eased, and the boulder fell to the ground. The power of the Dark Dimension. This is simple. However, you need to get me out of here, I can't communicate with the Dark Dimension inside. Okay, Russell readily agreed to his request. Even if Dormammu didn't say it, he'd do it. After all, it is a fact. However, before that, he needs to be reminded. I want you to be more self-conscious, you know what I mean. Russell squinted and looked straight ahead. The deep eyes pierced through the seal and appeared in front of Dormammu. Quote. Scared. This look is really scary. Understand. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.